What's up, YouTube? This is Beautiful Linker Joe, bringing you another deck video. Sorry guys, I thought I'd try something different because one of my friends that watches my videos is like, hey, you do the same intro every time, I can almost predict you every time. So I thought I'd try just something different. I don't know, I kind of like it. What do you guys think? Comment down below! Anyway, I'm going to bring you another Cardfight Vanguard video. This one's going to be a deck profile of my Great Nature. And the only reason I'm not doing a clan breakdown of Great Nature like I did with the other Zoo Nation colonies, other Zoo Nation clans, is because I don't feel like you guys are liking it at all. Like, you guys haven't told me if these are helpful or if you guys like the videos. Granted, I haven't been the best deck, not deck video, but video maker in general. It's still nice to know if I'm doing you guys justice and whatever. So I'm just going to do a deck profile. So let's get into it. I want to actually start before saying that Great Nature get a lot more support starting in May when set 13 comes out. They get a break ride, they get a Soul Blast 2 draw 1 card, a unit, they get a bunch of new stuff. So once that stuff comes out, the deck profile that you see now is going to be drastically different. So this is what it is now, pre-set 13. Starter, Blackboard Parrot. Arguably the best starter for Great Nature. For literally no cost, you can add it to Soul. When a unit retires at the end of the turn, you can draw a card. Great Nature focus on the ability to give all your rear guards like 4k and then retire at the end of the turn. So it's basically like injecting them with steroids, what a lot of people call it. So I'm going to go on that same illusion that, oh, we're using animals and giving them steroids. Kill each other. Anyway. With the current spread, I run 4 heal, 6 draw, 6 crit. So obviously, 4 Dictionary Goat, 4 Triangle Cobra, and 2 Ruler Chameleon. The only reason I run 2, well, the only reason I run 2 of him ever is because I thought his skill was actually pretty good, because it's the same thing as the grade 1 or grade 2, grade 3 Hamske that counterblast 1 if it retires at the end of the turn. You search for himself. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized, oh, that's actually really bad. Not only am I losing a trigger, but that's a potential trigger that I could have had in late game where the critical mattered. Yes, I'm gaining a 10k guard, but I'm losing a trigger in deck. So anyway, moving on before I start rambling. 4 Castanet Donkey. It's actually really good. The Margot clone. Give a unit on the field +3, add it to Soul. This is actually pretty good, not only for the extra 3k boost, but because that new grade 1 Soul Blast 2 draw card, they actually utilize more Soul. And then that one Sloth card that lets you Soul Blast 2 on flip 2 damage, I think is what it is. So this actually will help in the future, depending on if I want to switch the trigger spread, because I might go into 6 crit, 6 stand, 4 heal, all man mode trigger spread once the break ride comes out. That's for a different video to come in the future. And then 2 Fortune Bringing Cat. Those are the triggers. Obviously 17 grade 0s, and then for the grade 1s I run 1 extra, which means not the typical 15, but now 16. So what I have here so far are 4 Hamskes. Kind of been made a staple in the deck. When it's boosted, you know, you give it +4, so it's at minimum 10k because it's base 6. And then when it's retired at the end of the turn, you can counterblast 1, search himself from the deck. So you're thinning out your deck for himself. Pretty good. Next is Coiling Duckbill. If you combo this with either Monoculus and Binoculus along with a Hamske, either grade 1 or 2 on the field, this can actually be really good for early game hand advantage or late game hand replenishing. When it's called on field, you can target a rear guard on the field, and when it retires at the end of the turn, you draw a card. So depending on how many you stack on that one turn, you can draw that many cards. Him with a Hamske or grade 2 Hamske, you can actually break even, because you call him, you replace him with the card that you draw, and then you replace him in your hand by searching himself out in the deck. So it's actually pretty good. Next are 3 Perfect Guards. I think 4 is too much. I actually never had the 4th one. 3's worked perfectly fine for me, and I kind of think that the 4th there is no room for, so 3's fine. 3 Monoculus Tiger. People might think this is too much. when it attacks a Vanguard, give a unit plus 4k, so it's a mini version of Binoculus Tiger, which is the grade 2. It's good for early game, especially for like turn 3 for grade 1 rush, so I like it. And it's a good 7k rearguard column boost. Lastly, for grade 1s is my favorite unit because of artwork alone. It looks so boss. Silver Wolf. Silver Wolf. Just its name. Silver Wolf. And then its flavor. Listen to its flavor. The supreme minds hold the supreme powers. This guy's awesome. Yeah, I use him for the 8k vanilla boost, so it's actually pretty good. I just like him for the artwork. A lot of people use stamp otter, which is perfectly fine. That's their preference, but I think 8k is still pretty good because the highest you'll ever hit is like 21, 20 column versus if you use something else, it'll be like 20 only. So, grade 2s, I run 3 grade 2 Hamsuke. People run 4. I think that might be a little too much because you end up with no room for your other high power monsters like Compass Lion or Geograph Giant. I think that you need more room for more of the power cards. So that's why I only run 3, and 3's worked out perfectly fine for me. At minimum, it can be 12k attack because 8 plus 4 is 12. It's base 8. At any one game at the most, I've boosted him or his baby version, the grade 1. I've boosted them up to like 3-4 times in one turn, and that was really, really hard on the opponent because they had to use their entire hand to guard, and I ended up just critting them for game. Next, 3 Binoculus Tiger. People run 2 to 3. It's good. Attack a Vanguard, give plus 4, and then it retires to a unit. 2 Geograph Giant for 10k beater, and lastly 2 Compass Lion for the 11k beat, along with the ability that it retires a unit at the end of the turn. Now, the first thing that I want to say is that because all of their effects activate at end phase, you can choose in which order you activate them. So if you activate, I'm going to use Binoculus Tiger as an example. If you attack with Binoculus Tiger, use its effect to target Hamsuke to boost the 4. Because you already know that it's dying that turn, you can use Compass Lion to target that same Hamsuke because you know it's just going to die anyway. So you can pick in which order the card effects activate. So use Compass Lion's effect. Target the one that's already dying. Kill it off. Then you counterblast 1. Search for the Hamsuke from your deck, add it to your hand. That way, you're not having to target another card for Compass Lion and losing field advantage. Because if you minus yourself 2 rearguard boosters, then that's actually really bad. You're going to have to use the resources in your hand, and you already have to use those to guard. So that's actually really bad. So that's maybe something to think about. Grade 3s. 3 Leopold, arguably the second best, Vanguard starter. Not Vanguard starter, but Limit Breaker. Limit Break is if you can counterblast 1. If a unit was retired by a card effect, you can counterblast 1, call it back onto the field. And then its a basic effect is when it attacks a Vanguard, give a unit plus 4, and then it dies at the end of the turn. And it's a base 10. A lot of the Vanguard not Vanguard starters, why do I keep saying that? Vanguard bosses are a lot of the 10Ks, which it really hurts them because a lot of the game is now 11K base. So they need the extra power that they are lacking in terms of the grade 3s. But it's still a good card. I like it. I like the artwork mostly. But like I said, as soon as the new support comes out, this deck is going to be completely changed. What the Break Ride does, I'm going to go real quick when the Break Ride. When you ride over it, your Vanguard gets plus 10, which is the basic of all Break Rides. Then, when a rearguard unit attacks, you can give another unit plus 4k. So you can attack as many times with your rearguards, depending on how many stand triggers you run in the deck. Stack a unit 4k that many times. Then, for every time you stack that 4k, depending on where you stack that 4k on the rearguard units, when it dies, you draw that many cards. Yes, the ability does stack. The ruling states that it can stack. So if you target the same unit 3 or 4 times, you will draw 3 to 4 cards. That's how the Limit Break works, in case you guys weren't sure. So the Break Ride is actually really good for hand advantage, which is why I'm thinking about switching the trigger spread to 6 crit, 6 stand, 4 heal, all man mode, all in, because the deck already has great drawing ability. But I digress. Next are 2 Polaris, arguably the best one of them all. When it attacks a Vanguard, gets 3k, so it becomes 13, which is the same thing as Soul Saver. And then its limit break is if it attacks a Vanguard, counterblast 2, stand a rearguard unit, and give it plus 4k, and then it dies at the end of the turn. So it's pretty good. I actually didn't like him at first, but the more I saw gameplay with him, the more I actually realized it's actually pretty good. So because of him, I run 2 Magnet Crocodile, and his effect is if it attacks a Vanguard, you give it plus 2k. So there's a lot of units that have the same effect. So it becomes 12k by himself unboosted. Boosted, it becomes at most 20k with Silver Wolf at rearguard. 22 depending on Hamske. So what I normally do, what I found out using these 2 cards, is that before anything, since I run 6 crit, 6 draw, 4 heal, I will attack with this first, attack for 12k. Then attack with this, use limit break, stand 2, this now becomes 4k. This now became 16k by himself. And I still have the boosted, so 16, let's say I have Silver Wolf as rearguard, 16 plus 8 is 24, attack for 24, this is before I have triggers. Let's say I hit 2 draws, this is 36, that's pretty big. I mean, granted it's easier to guard with all the 11k base Vanguards, but still, that's pretty good. So that's what I came to realize with Polaris. Polaris is actually a really, really good limit breaker. So if you don't run him, give him a chance. Because I didn't really give him a chance at first, and the more I saw it, the more I realized, you know, hey, he's actually really good. So that's the deck profile. I hope you guys liked it. Hope maybe gave you guys some ideas. I know there's a lot of people that are also Great Nature players, and they run it a little bit differently than I do. Or net deck, similar stuff, because there's not a lot of much you can do with this deck unless you run the Locks ride chain, which honestly isn't the greatest. It's still good, it's just not great. But excuse me, I got something stuck in my throat there. But yeah, that's the video. Hope you guys like it. Beautiful Inker Joe, signing out. Remember, keep calm, and henshin a go-go, baby.